I've been testing this new robot vacuum / mop in my coffee shop for a while. That, full disclosure, was sent to me by 3i, and it might be the best robot vacuum I've ever used, and it's definitely the most advanced one I've ever used. Now, it has some crazy features that I've never seen before, and I think most people wouldn't know existed. So let's talk about this new robot vacuum / robot mop and go through some of the more interesting features. So, this is the robot mop / robot vacuum combo in question. It is the 3i S10 Ultra, and the first thing you'll notice is the pulsating, almost alive base station, which is not small by any means, but there's a reason for that which we'll get to in a bit. Firstly though, I want to talk about a feature that I believe is probably the first on a robot mop like this. 3i calls it their water recycle feature. So normally with a robot mop / vacuum, most are combos these days like this one, you have a clean water and a dirty water tank. You add clean water in, and then the cleaning robot wets the mop using the clean water and adds a cleaning solution, then it does its thing, and it comes back and the water is then pulled off of the mops into a dirty water tank, and this continues until you run out of clean water and or the dirty water tank is full and you have to add more clean water and dump out the frankly gross, usually dirty water. The 3i S10 Ultra, however, you fill the water when you first set it up and then you never do it again. And there is no dirty water tank at all. Instead, it uses the dirty water from the mop being cleaned at the base station and boils it to turn it into steam while leaving any dirty solids behind, and sucks those up into the normal dustbin, then purifies the water through various filters, puts it back into the clean water tank to be reused. To make up for the eventual loss of water over time from that process, it can also use water in the air. Pull it into the base station, it condenses it, and then the liquid is deposited into the clean water tank from that over time as well. Now, between these two things, there is no more emptying the wastewater or refilling the clean water. You also put this cleaning solution into the base station, and that is then automatically dosed into the clean water and put on the mop of the robot as needed. It then notifies you when it's running low, and you can just replace it from the base station every now and then, which is convenient. When a liquid mess is detected, the robot will actually turn off the vacuum motor, lower the water flow, and slow down to clean the mess. Then, once it detects it's gone, it turns the vacuum motor back on, increases the water flow, and resumes its speed. It'll even come back and repeatedly clean the spot if it detects that it is still there. Now, the next unique feature I want to talk about in this robot helps with mopping in corners and along walls. So, most robot vacuums have these brushes on the sides to pull in debris from edges as it goes and direct it into the vacuum nozzle to be sucked up. This robot also has that, by the way, but it can also extend the mop roller itself to mop edges and corners better beyond just the width of the robot. It just automatically extends it out whenever it detects that it's next to a wall. The next feature we talk about has to do with the green light that you might notice coming from the front when the robot is cleaning. I've seen this on stick vacuums actually, but never on a robot. Essentially, this green light illuminates liquids, stains, solids, dust, and other debris, and as it all reflects distinct light patterns back to the robot, it can then identify 68 different types of common objects using algorithms and decide how much suction, i.e. a lot more for dust, adjust the mop versus suction for liquids, for example, and change the speed of the mop or brushes for things it knows are more difficult to clean up. It helps. But it also makes this robot look like a fun alien from a sci-fi movie. Now, there's also a dual anti-tangle main brush that actually reverses the brush when it comes back to the base station and uses a detangling comb to remove any hair as well as higher suction to get it into the dustbin. This is great for all sorts of hair that might end up in the brush, and if you've ever had to cut that wad of hair off the bottom of your vacuum before, you'll appreciate that, I'm sure. It also has a self-cleaning roller mop, so as it goes along, it also suctions off debris and wastewater, and it spins at a speed of 330 RPMs. So it doesn't leave anything but a thin layer of water as it goes along, and everything else ends up in the dustbin, which is nice compared to some others that I've had that just kind of soak the floor behind them. That dustbin, by the way, is 2.5 liters, so 3i says that that's good for about 60 days at a time until you have to empty it. And the roller mop is also dried with hot air when it's in the base station, while the wastewater is again recycled and filtered into the clean water. Beyond that, it has some features that we've seen on other robots like object avoidance, but it has LiDAR with 8-meter range, which is further than I've ever seen. It can adapt to carpet height automatically, lifting the mop 0.3 inches to keep the carpet dry as it goes over it. It can also go over anything up to 25 millimeters in height and climb 15-degree slopes. For power, the robot vacuum has 13,000 pascals of suction power, which is a measurement for the force a vacuum can use to lift objects. And that is actually really high for a robot vacuum. The average vacuum has about 3,000 pascals to give some sort of reference. Basically, it means it can vacuum up even coffee beans easily, cat litter, small dust particles, and other debris. Now, moving on to the app. You can use this when you first set up the robot and tell it to create a map of the space. It'll go around the space quickly and scan, and you'll slowly start to see a pretty slick, actually 3D map appear as it's going. It even tries to identify furniture in the room as well, and you can even add in your own furniture to fill that out more. You can also divide the map into rooms, and then use those rooms to tell it to clean just a specific room if needed, or even tell it specific cleaning instructions based on the room that it's in. And it also has this feature where it'll go to places it knows are more likely to be dirty, like bathrooms and kitchens first, before it cleans the rest of the rooms. You can also create no-go zones for your areas that you don't want the robot to clean, and you can set it to AI auto mode and it'll choose its cleaning settings based on how dirty it detects a room to be. I also have it now set up to automatically clean every night at 11 p.m. in the coffee shop, so the baristas come into a clean floor every morning, and that's been working pretty well. Also, it can even do multiple story houses by telling it you have multiple stories in the app, and then it'll essentially clean one and wait for you to position it in the next story and be able to recognize that it's there and clean that, and so on. Now overall, I have to say this is probably the most feature-packed robot I've seen yet, and figure that there are plenty of people out there like me that weren't even aware that some of these features were available in a cleaning robot. If you're curious about this robot in particular, I'll leave a link below so you can check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and right now I'm going to go clean the counters. Still waiting for the robot that can like fly from each counter to counter and clean it. Maybe one day. Good night. Beep, 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 beep. Truck literally outside the coffee shop door.